Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. Sisters and brothers, ongoing series, Breaking the Dumb Barrier. The majority of the world is on the wrong side of the dumb barrier. Been on it for over 35,000 years since we're off the mathematical standard into religions, superstitions, mysticism, illusions, delusions. And now we're being brought back across that dumb barrier. Some of us screaming, kicking, but you're either going to cross it or you're going to be lost in it. There's no in between here. You got to come across that dumb barrier or you'll be lost in time. So we're going to talk about that. But the main subject is wisdom. Now, what is wisdom? Abraham talked about he wants someone, Allah to raise up someone that have given them wisdom, the book, right? And guide them. So where's the wisdom? Where's the book? See? What is that? You ask the students, they can't tell you. They might give you some off-the-cuff answer. See? But they will require a guide, the book, and the wisdom. So we're going to talk about that. What's the wisdom? Because the wisdom should be, the understanding of how things work, how the universe works, how life works. That should be the wisdom, right? Knowledge is one thing, wisdom is something altogether different. The understanding of how things work. So how does your reality work? Do you know? Does anyone know? We have this reality we live in. How does it work? The religious people, they tell you, well, it's God's creation. Just believe in God. His creation. He only one can understand it, and so forth, so on. Well, we're gonna go. We're gonna look into that. So let's move into this presentation. So again, I repeat, the dumb barrier. See, we have two sides of the brain: analytical side and technical side. Analytical side and spatial side. They both need each other. One says be, and the other one says it is. One comes up with the ideas, one brings into existence. See, so one comes up with the blueprint, one comes up, right, with the technical ability to bring that blueprint into existence. That's the difference. Be and it is. See, so since the beginning, it was a balance between the two. Though the spatial mind overruled the analytical mind, because that makes sense, because the technical minds, the analytical mind can't do anything without the spatial. If you don't have, you can be the best technician in the world, but you need blueprints, you need something to work with. So the spatial dominated the technical. The spatial would be nothing without technical too, because come on with great ideas, but now you have no way of bringing it to existence. So both of them need each other, but spatial is dominant because it comes up with the ideas, it provides the work, it provides the ideas to create creativity. The creativity comes from the spatial side. So we kept that under control for trillions of years until at this point in time, right, 50,000 years ago, Dr. Shabbat started a process of taking and personifying the spatial. In other words, to make a being that was all spatial. Both sides of the brain were spatial. That means it created its creativity, double its creativity power, its power of creativity. Double it. Because both sides of the brain is now dedicated towards the spatial. And then 6,000 years ago, Dr. Yakub did just the opposite. He personified the analytical, bringing the being in that was all analytical on both sides. I mean, one be dominant the other. Well, I mean, when I say analytical on both sides, they ain't totally equal because one is more, I didn't want to say this before because it might confuse some people. It's analytical, right? But analytical has two sides to it too. So it has a spatial analytical and a technical analytical. Just like the spatial side has two sides too. It's all spatial, but spatial, and spatial with some technical variation. Because you have to be able to communicate with each other. See, it's just like the separation of gender, the genderless being, right? Male and female, right? But the male is not 100% male. He's got some female in him, and the female is not 100% female, has some male in her because they able to communicate with each other. Because you see, the men have breasts, they don't need them, right? That's evidence that they have some female attributes in them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other. So this would happen. But as a result of that, and as a result of as a result of the creation process, that's what we do. We start out the tension in the universe. As the universe expands, it creates tension. Tension opposite of pressure. So as in the expansion stage was a state of tension, ever increasing tension. Tension pulled things apart. First a little bit, as tension increases more and more and more. So we start redefining ourselves. We take first small things like microbes and everything separated from us, but we made ourselves more distinct, right? As we separate things from us. At one time, everything you see, the plants, all the animals, everything, that was all attributes in that first original being. He had all those attributes. But then start taking attributes out and make yourself more defined as we are today. But first, just a little bit. And then more complicated, until at the end of the process, the expansion state, he pulls the most complex being all together. That's KV. See, that's Dr. Yakub's creation. See, he's most complex, right? But still, he's not us. But he's most constant. That's why it says Allah would raise a beast from the earth that would speak to us. He's still a beast, but speaking beast, most complex. See, but every time we bring something into existence, we give it independence. So it finds way in creation. So it feels way in creation. In other words, finds place. Then once it finds place, right, and it's normalized in the creation, then we bring it under control. But we have to first give it a pencil so it can find itself. And that's the same thing we did with Dr. Yakub. We give it independence. We give 6,000 years of independence. But now it's time to bring them in. See? So we've been under for the last 6,000 years. We've been more or less increasingly dominated by the analytical. See, until Master Prophet Muhammad came, that's the lightning, right? And being to break up that process. See, to break analytical control over us. And he left it in Elijah Muhammad's hands to continue that process. See, until a time of Suleiman, who would completely sever their control completely. See, so now we've had the first because the universe is contracting now, so our energy is returning every 50 years. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes you but of a sudden. So our first energy wave, it comes in waves, was 1960s, where we broke our physical chains. 20 years, 50 years later, we broke our mental chains, with Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey and Master Prophet Muhammad, and later followed by Elijah Muhammad. And 50 years later, social chains, and now we're going to break all our chains. See, we're going to, all things have been taken from us. Our identity was taken from us. Our land was taken from us. Right? Our mind was taken from us. In this phase, we're going to get all that back. We're going to get our mind back. That's what Suleiman's here to do with the angel. Get your mind back. That's what Faraj did with his will to get your land back, right? And when you get both of those back, your identity will be returned. See? Okay. Now, I'm a brief little thing here. The universe is now in the contraction stage. See? In the center, right, that's us. See? I'm just giving an analogy here. Universe is contracting, center is us. Now, when something, that's pressure, see? Because now it's contracting. It's not a tension stage, now it contracts. I mean, pressure's building. Every energy wave creates the pressure. So it's contracting, see? So when it gets down to, as it contracts, it'll keep contracting until the pressure inside is equal to the pressure on the outside, then it will stop. Now, pressure is thought. Pressure is thought. That means the thought inside has to be as powerful as the pressure on the outside, because pressure is thought. For us, pressure is thought. Because pressure is force, right? Force, we're going to explain the difference between force and pressure, but you need force to move anything. So how do you move your body, right? You have to thought to move it, so thought must be force, because nothing moves out force. Unless you listen to these crazy Christians, okay, they tell you, what is Jesus doing? Whatever. Nothing moves out force, right? See, and thought is pressure. Pressure and force are the same thing, right? And so, and our brains, our thought moves at 24 billion miles per second. So our thought was powerful enough to stop the universe from contracting. Because remember, it keep on contracting, and as it contracted, the pressure builds. And it keep on until the pressure in the center is equal to the pressure on the outside. It can't contract anymore because both of them equal. See, it stops it. And that's why there's only one being at the end, at that time, could survive all that. Because if he wasn't able to survive it, right, the universe was contracting to nothing. So he had the mental power to stop the universe from contracting. And it's hard for some of you to understand, because you understand the difference between force and thought. That's the originator. He was only one. No one else could survive it. After everybody was grasping, everything returns to Allah. So at that point, Allah, it was only him. He's only the one who could survive it. Hard to even say him because he's genderless. He's the only one who could survive it. At the center of the earth, our womb, right? The pressure was so great that only he could survive all that intense pressure with his thought, his power, his mind, right? He stopped the universe from contracting and put the universe in motion again, start expanding again. So we're going to try to see if we can show this. See, here's the universe contracting. And it'll keep on contracting until the force in the center is equal to the force outside. If it doesn't, it's going to keep on contracting until it just go out of existence. Some have to stop from contracting. The force inside has to be equal to the force outside. So understand that principle. Okay. Another way of saying that is that if thought is pressure, what thought is pressure, and the thought has to equal the pressure on outside. Remember, thought and pressure, same thing, right? That means our thought, our thought is pressure, but our pressure comes in the form of consciousness. It's brain. Our thought comes in the form of consciousness. So that means the consciousness has equal to the pressure of the outside universe. That means the consciousness had equal to the pressure outside the universe. I need to say it again. The consciousness is pressure. Our form of pressure is consciousness, is equal to the pressure of the totally contract universe, right? And the cold contract universe is nothing but pressure. So that means our thought is equal to the total thought power of the universe. That means we're the God of the universe. Because we conscious the entire universe. Because both of them have to be equal at that time. Our consciousness has to be equal to the force of the total force of the universe, total pressure universe. Both pressure has equal, but our pressure is in the form of consciousness. That means we consciousness of it. That means we're God of it because we're just equal to it. Hope you understand, bro. Says I try to explain it best I can. I hope you understand it. Okay. Let's make a couple changes here right quick. Okay. Okay, we're going to explain force. Right? We're going to give an example. The difference between force and pressure. See? So here's an example of force. Watch this. Force, bam. That's force. Like a bullet hitting it. That's force. See? Now, where's pressure? There it is. That's pressure. The force was converted to pressure. Hit that, and now it's spread out. Now it's pressure, still force. See, because all those are all force lines. They're smaller now, but they spread all over the place. So if the first one, if we back up here, look at it like this, right? Say if this force right here is equal to 12 units, right? Okay. So now it hits this, and now you have 12 units. Each one uses one, but all together after 12. That's the difference between force and pressure. Still force, just spread out. That's all. That's when you hit it. That's what a bulletproof vest does. It hits with a bullet, and that vest is able to shift, take that force, and spread it all out throughout that vest. That means now you, instead of hitting one point, right, with maybe 1,000 pounds of maybe 1,000 pounds of force, right, it's spread out, and so each one to 1,000 pieces. So now you got 1,000 small bullets, right, like needles now, spread all over. They won't kill you. They hurt you. They hurt you, might prick your skin because they spread all over now instead of at one point. Hope you understand that. It's the difference between force and pressure. See, that's why when you go skiing or whatever, they give you a large surface, right? Because now you convert all your pressure like a boat. You got a big bottom, right? So because all that force comes down, it's spread out all over the place. So now it's not as effective. It's like if you took a broomstick, right, that weigh 1,000 pounds, and you put it standing upright in the middle of the floor, it's going to punch a hole in that floor. Because all that force at one point, but if you take and lay it down, right, now it's spread out, right? So now you don't have all that force at one point. It's spread across a long line on the floor. So it might survive now. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. Difference between force and pressure. Because you need to understand pressure if you're going to understand your universe, understand your creation. Because our whole universe, right, is based on force. Pressure. Pressure is the nature of our resistance. If you understand that, that's the wisdom. Then because that's going to determine how you understand what you're going to do. Because if you understand that, then you're going to make all bad decisions. Because the analytical mind, they don't understand that. What they understand is force. Remember, they deal on terms of force. They don't deal in terms of, see, analytical mind deals just with force. The spatial mind deals with pressure. And so there's two ways of approaching in a thing. You approach it in the sense of force, or you approach it in the sense of pressure. And there's two different ways of dealing with a situation. See, like I try to point out to people, an analytical mind, if they have a problem, right, somebody's causing a problem, well, they kill it. That's force. So they think they're out of the woods now. But my mental guy, person, no pressure, no, he didn't accomplish anything because the pressure still exists. The same pressure just come in a different form now. See, he may recognize it then, but he don't recognize it now. Still coming the same. See, because he think, oh, I'm gonna kill this dude, and now his problem solved. No, you kill that dude, right? But now, right now, some more dudes pop up, maybe a bunch or maybe just one more. That's because the pressure goes, because that person putting pressure, and that pressure still remain the same amount on you. It's just coming in a different form now because you got rid of that. And so the analytical mind is a killer. because he think that's the way he solves problem. See, the spatial mind won't kill. He'll be patient. See, because he deal with a total different way. So anyway, temperature. There's three variables in pressure: temperature, right? Collisions, right? And volume. How much? See, each one of these represents you, a person or people, right? Volume means how many people in, like, you have in a balloon, how much air you got in there, that's the volume. See, each air is molecules, right? So these molecules are a person. So the more you got in there, that's the volume. See, so it was when you're blowing up the balloon, the more air you put in the balloon, the bigger it gets. That's the volume, right? That's the volume because you put more into it. So the more people you put in the room, right? That's the volume, right? But temperature is how fast they're moving. So if you heat up that air in the balloon, turn a hot air balloon, right, and start expanding. Because that's temperature. They're moving faster now. They move faster. See, because you heat it up, they move fast. That's temperature is how fast they're moving. See, that's how you get burned, because things are moving real fast, right? And then your skin starts coming. That's another story. But that's how temperature is how fast people are moving. See, so you're seeing the people in the world now move faster and faster than they ever have before because the pressure is increasing. Because the higher the temperature, the more pressure. That's where a pressure cooker works. See, because what they do is they heat it up, but there's no place. They keep a top on it, so there's no place for the molecules to go. So they move faster and faster and faster. I mean, they get hotter, 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 faster. So it's something you cook so high pressure cooks faster because they're moving faster. They don't have a place to go. So they move faster and faster. So they cause the temperature to increase. That's what temperature is. How fast people are moving. So that's you look in the world around. You say, oh, the temperature is rising because people move faster and faster than ever done before. And you're moving in the direction of thinking. I'm not sure I'm going to that deep level of depth here, but the thing is that you can look in the world and see the pressure increasing because people move faster and faster than ever have before, ever. Okay. Now collisions, that's the actual pressure because people colliding with each other. See? Now as temperature rises, they collide even more and more intensely. The intensity of their pressure increases. You understand? So what happens is that we see nowadays, right? What do we see? What we see nowadays, we see a lot of collisions. The pressure increasing because what's collisions? The intensity of the collisions. So as the pressure increases, the intensity of the collisions increase. Let me say it again. As the pressure increases, right, the intensity of the collisions increase. So every interaction with another person is a collision. Every interaction with a person is a collision. Okay? So it depends on how intense the collision is. It could be a mild collision because some we accept might be a hug, you know, intimacy. Those are collisions because you interact with another person. Or it could be more intense than that. It could be an argument. Or it could get more intense than that. Get a fight. Intense than that. It could be killing. See? The maximum intensity is war. Okay? Because the pressure is increasing. You understand? So you know by how people are interacting, you know you can get some measure how intense things are all over the world. Because you see in America right now, all these mass killings and everything all of a sudden. Crime raves up and everything, right? See, they got all kinds of, analytical mind, all their interpretations. But once you got the spatial mind, you got the wisdom, you go past all that. You see exactly what's going on. Because see, that would be a symptom of what's going on. Because that's telling you the pressure is increasing in America. See? But in the collisions, right, It's like, say for instance, you're in a bumper car at an amusement park or something, right? And you got bumper cars, right? Made out of some made out of aluminum, some made out of iron, some made out of brass, some made out of steel, right? And they collide with each other. Well, you know how that's gonna work out. See, the ones made out of tin or whatever, right? They're gonna be all dent up. They might survive it. The ones made out of steel, I mean, they might get a few discs, but they gonna survive it. And so that's what the problem situation we have right now. You understand? Because we got different types of people. They try to say we're all the same. No, we're not the same. I mean, look at it. I mean, you could just do the math, right? You got white people, you got yellow people, you got brown people, right? You got black people, you got the original people. They say we call the gold, the angel calls the gold, because they say we're all the same, right? I mean, we're all original, but we're two different tribes. You have the Levites and you have the Shabbats. And look at it, right? Is there a coincidence? The white people, they move around faster. They move faster than anybody else. They have more control, more energy than everybody else, right? And then who's behind them? The Chinese. Who behind them? The Indians. Who behind them? Africans. Who? Us, and we have nothing. Is that a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence, because that's the way it works. See? Because they move faster because they have more energy, because they have less mass. We're going to talk about that. But that means they have less structure. They're weaker. See? So in a collision, they will not survive a very intense collision, where black people will, even though they're moving slower, because they have greater structure. So therefore they have less energy, because they need more energy to maintain their structure. Well, the white don't need much energy to maintain structure. They got less energy to move around fast. They can move around more. So in a collision, when they colliding, as the collision increase, right? Then who's going to be the first one to be crushed by the collisions? The white balls. See, I'm taking a little segue here because they tell you truth all kinds of ways, right? If you ever played pool, what's the story of pool? You got a white ball, he controls the board, right? And a black ball, he's the last one, right? See, so the game is over what? When you knock the black ball out. They telling you. Once they knock us out, then they finally won the game. They can play with all the other balls, but the one they need to knock out is us. And then the white ball rules. I mean, they tell us all kinds of ways, but they laugh at us because they know they think we too stupid to understand anything. Like that stupid dog they tell him put you down, he's still wagging his tail and looking at the mask. So he don't know the mask ready to put his lights out. See, and you got a lot of these demons got a lot of people in that condition telling them all this BS. That's their job, to keep you stupid, keep you on the wrong side of the dumb barrier. So this collisions. So temperature make things move faster. By move faster, they collide more. So there's no harmony here. See, this is democracy. You don't have no harmony here. Capitalism, democracy, there's no harmony here. So that means there's collisions, and the collisions get worse. So you hear more and more rumors of wars. You hear more all confusion in the world. All America is more divided now than ever. More collisions, people killing, all these mass murders and all that kind of stuff that's going on all over the country. Crime is up and everything. That's telling you the temperature is increasing in America. So the point is how, at what point, at what threshold is the pressure great enough that the white balls cannot handle it anymore, and they're crushed by it. Because see, the black balls, right? Remember when I talked about the universe contracting? We go all the way into that point that we can handle that. We can handle the total pressure. I mean, only one of us can do it at the end, but we get almost there. Most of us get almost there, right? But then it's still us. It's our Father, the originator. He's our Father, right? He made it all the way to the end. His pressure, he can handle the pressure, totally contract. So this little pressure ain't nothing to us. See? This little pressure ain't nothing to us. It just makes us stronger, turns us into diamonds. That's why I said it says a time of intense trouble, but Jacob will be delivered out of it. Only our people that's going to go through it is the ones that didn't pay attention, right? They could pick you up with time, so they're going to have to deal with it, but they're going to survive it. They'll go through tribulation, they'll survive it. The original people, the ones that get that far. And we just go on, and the pressure gets greater and greater and greater. But they collapse. At this point, they collapse. See, when the pressure was low, they had the advantage. That's during a 6,000 year transition period between the contraction stage and the expansion stage and the contraction stage. 6,000 year period. The universe is expanding, and then it goes to contraction. But it takes 6,000 years to make that transition. And that was a vacuum, Elijah Muhammad called that a vacuum that Dr. Yaqub's filled, because we was in a state of energy deprivation. So he filled it with a person that didn't need much energy. See? And so there was the Volkswagen Beetles. All the Lamborghinis had to be put up in the garage and everything. Couldn't afford them anymore. See? So but now they had that window. But now the universe is contracting again, and the pressure is too great for them. They can't survive it. There's nothing they can do to survive it. The only thing they can do to survive it, right, is to transform it. That means get rid of us and bring their mechanical universe. They race hard to try to get to. See? But they have to keep us dumb enough and ignorant enough, right? Because they using us to help build that reality that's our destruction. Because they don't have to destroy us. Remember, you have to get rid of that back ball. That's the end of the game. They understand that. You don't understand it. These demons make sure you don't understand, like Farrakhan, these clowns. See? Anyway, that's what collisions are. We talk about temperature, how fast they're moving. Collisions, right? See? So they're moving, they collide with each other. Okay? So who can withstand, right, the collisions? See? The whites, and it says the whites first, they would be the first to go. That's what the angel tells you. The Bible tells you they're first to go. And then death and Hades, they would go right behind them. That's the yellow and the brown. They won't survive either, but they'll survive a little longer. But the pressure will take them out too. Because it's still war. Remember, war is taking us out. That means the temperature got so high that the collision became fatal. Everybody's killing each other. Because they collide, you hitting each other so hard, right? The collision is so great, they become fatal. See, like I said, you have different levels of collisions. Intimate, hugging, that's acceptable, and more argumentative, right? And fighting and so forth until war. That's killing people. And we see America's moving close to that. They got war right here. They got all these killing stuff going on. That's a sign, right? That temperature is rising. That's what I say. You understand the wisdom. Then you look around, you can see the signs. Okay, again, I said volume and mass. Mass is another way. They don't use it properly, but we're going to continue using it their way they use it. Just how much there is. How many people in the room, for instance. Those are three variables, right? How many people in the room, that's the mass, right? How fast they're moving around in the room, that's temperature. And how much they're bumping into each other. That's the collisions. That's what pressure is. Those three things right there. When you understand those three things, and you start understand from there, then you build on it. See? Now, there's a couple of ways you can deal with pressure. Collisions. Now, you can take, and because we deal with collisions every day, we interact with people. See, but you can be like a bullfighter. You can stand the way of the bull, or you can sidestep the bull, because the bull don't want to turn around. See, so in your interactive every day, you can sit and avoid collision. You see it coming and stop, argue with people. And when they come with that, just avoid them and ignore them and move on. Let them go on by there, go on their way, because they're going to collide with somebody else that's going to knock their head off. Like I said, snakes, eventually, if you leave them alone, they're going to eventually run into a snake eater. So you can do that, or you can take the collision. But it takes just as much energy to avoid the collision as it is to absorb the collision. Only thing is that to avoid it, that strengthens your inner ability, strengthens your inner discipline. To take it, right, well, right, it's going to put dents in your heart. We talk about that, slots. So if you want to argue with everybody and everything else, right? Right? Then you can do that, or you can sidestep it, right? That increase your discipline. See, but it's still going to be it's still going to take just as much energy to do either one. It's just the form of energy. Man, we're talking about quality. So you have two sides of energy: quality and quantity. So quantity, energy, the universe, that's formless energy. That's quality, quantity. But we gave it form. That's quality. This is the form we gave it. Stars and planets and galaxies and constellations. See, it's like I said, $1 million shit form is equal to $1 million diamond mine. They're both worth $1 million. The difference is the quality. And what transforms shit mines into diamond mines? That's Islam. So you can sit around in your Christianity kind of stuff, smelling your shit farm. See, when you could have diamond mine, but you was ignorant and you didn't realize that you didn't realize difference, but everybody got the same amount. Everybody's got $1 million in this scenario. See, but you can only way you want to get that gold, silver, diamond mines. You got to let go of that shit mine, shit farm. But you scared because man, I don't want to lose this, man. See, you don't want to get off the first floor. You want to get to the second floor. But you don't want to get to the first floor. I said, Allah will lift you up, but you clean the earth. So you don't want to get off you want to go to the second floor, but you don't want to get to the first floor, so you never get there. So you hold on to that dear life. Like holding on to America, man. I gotta hold on to America, man, because look what I got, man. I got me a job here, man. I got me a BMW, man. I got me $1 million in the bank, see. But you want to go into heaven. You want to go to hereafter. See, that means you ain't gonna never get there because you bought this world's life. You clinging to it while we're moving on, letting it go, and moving on to the future. See, so you have to understand how this works. So it's mass, how many people, right? Because we were talking about this pressure, when you understand pressure in physics, you think about molecules and stuff. But we talking about this works. This is people, same thing, right? So it's how many people in the room, how fast they're moving, how much they collide. So like you can avoid collisions. It takes a lot of energy to do that, but you don't get the dents. See, and the upside of it is you increase your discipline because you got discipline. You got to discipline your heart. You got to say, man, I ain't gonna argue with this fool, man, because a lot of times you just want to knock his head off, and like you like really, man, I gotta knock this fool. And you see, no, I'm just gonna avoid it and let him go on. See, so it took, but that as a result of it, that increased your discipline because you had to use discipline to do that. So you become more disciplined in the process of just avoiding that. Instead of take the collision, then you crying, upset later on, all that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So it's up to you. That's another way of looking at it. That's why I say once you understand how pressure works, then you understand how to deal with situations and the consequence of it. Because it's all about quality and quantity. Like I said, $1 million shit farm is equal to $1 million diamond mine. So what you want? You want the shit farm? Or you want the diamond mine? See? Mass times acceleration. Again, see, that's what force equals, mass times acceleration. So we all have the pressure, we all have the same amount of force. I keep saying, what has the same amount of energy? Force is energy. What has the same amount of energy? The point is just how it's expressed. So the more mass you have, the less energy you're going to have, less acceleration. Mass times acceleration equal. So if the force is 12, then if you have 1 unit of mass, you have 12 units of energy. If you got 2 units of mass, you got 6 units of energy. If you got 3 units of mass, you got 4 units of energy, right? If you got 6 units of mass, you got 2 energy. That's the way it works. It still comes out the same way. So we have the same amount of forces as Caucasians have, right? But the point is they have less mass. So they got a lot of energy. They can move around. They got a lot. They think faster. We think steeper. So you got to understand that. They think faster than we do, but we think deeper than they do. That's the difference. See? Because they're thinking superficial. Our thinking is deeper. See? They tell, oh no, we think no. They think faster because they move fast. Because you think in the direction you're moving. You got if you move fast, you gotta be thinking faster to move faster. You think in the direction. Understand that concept. You think in the direction that you're moving, and at the speed that you're moving. They move much faster. The whole society is moving much faster, faster than any place on the earth. The Chinese right behind them. The Oriental people right behind them. See? So there you go. So the thing is we thinking deeper. We're moving slower because we still suffering from some degree of energy deprivation. And we need all the energy we get just to maintain ourselves. But they don't need that much. They can eat pork. So you start eating that stuff and it just destroyed you. They can eat pork like you can put regular gas into a Volkswagen Beetle, but not doing the Lamborghini. So you can put pork and stuff in them and just don't bother them. But us, high blood pressure and low blood pressure and hypertension and everything else, because we can't eat that stuff. So you trying to be like them, you're destroying yourself. So ever see these blacks, they go out there and corporate America and everything, they're basket case because they try to be like them. It's destroying them. They can't handle it because everybody, you can't be like them. That's what when you understand how pressure works, you understand you can't be doing certain, then you understand things. That's why a lot of them get how to live. You can't live like them, but you try to be like them, then next thing you know, you're all messed up because you can't be like them. Because you're a Lamborghini, they're Volkswagen Beetle. But you think you're the same as them. So if you're going to treat a Lamborghini like Volkswagen Beetle, you know how long it's going to last? And everybody will think you're a fool. You're going to treat a Lamborghini like a Volkswagen Beetle? Are you crazy with regular gas in? You want to be parked outside? You're going to, you ain't going to get a garage. You ain't going to get no insurance. I mean, come on. What the hell you get it for? So that's why you got to understand the wisdom. So they move faster. See, we're going to be moved faster too once they're gone as we get engine increase, right? But see, we're not going to have collisions. That's what Hodge is all about. Because see, when the pressure gets great enough, right, there's an odd concept in physics. When the pressure is great enough, the molecules achieve harmonic motion. That's what the Hodge is about, because everybody's moving in sync with each other, right? So you got everybody moving around, no collisions. They all kinds of ethnic backgrounds, all kinds of different sexes and everything else, and there's no collisions. See, that's harmony. That's Islam. But in a democracy, you don't have that. See, you have all this collision. Everybody collide, everybody do their own thing and everything else. That's pressure. But that's what they think. See, because they can't achieve harmonic motion because the pressure that takes to achieve harmonic motion crushes them. They can't get to that level. Can't get to it. See, because the pressure that's coming now is going. That's going to say the whole world. The Quran tells you this war is going to take everybody into Islam. The whole world's going to be in harmonic motion, but they won't be able to survive the pressure that it takes to get to harmonic motion. See, they won't survive. That's what it says. They can't withstand that kind of pressure. They was made in haste. See, it means they move quickly, but they're impatient, and they can't take much pressure. You see it, a little bit of pressure, and they got everything, and a little hardship in their life. Next thing they're off themselves, hanging themselves and everything else. They're not people that can take pressure. You don't see rich people doing that. You might see demons doing that. Understand that. Okay, currents. See? Okay. In a pressure situation, right, you have a certain called currents, because that means that if all the pressure, because the pressure has to be balanced. If you see a balloon sitting there, it's not moving, that means the pressure is equal all over the place. But if you see it shaking, and like I said, that means the pressure is imbalanced. It's going to keep on like that until everything, like you see water flowing, right, or whatever, right, stirring, because there's an imbalance. But once everything about, then the water's still. See? So we have those things in our lives, right, where we see currents. And those are just like revolution things, because all the wealth is balled up in a few people. And that creates a current. That's what the cause is all about. So I'm not going to the five pillars. This is really addressing some of that to some extent, right? Because that's what it's all about. The five pillars are the fundamental principles of pressure. Fundamental principles of Islam. We understand that. Those are the five aspects of pressure. the fundamental principle of the universe, right? So when you take all that, build all that force in one place, right? That means you build up a current. It's got to be. That's what the analytical mind doesn't have mind. Because right now you see all these people. You got a few people in the United States got all the wealth, and most people don't. That's getting ready to cause a problem right there because the tension is building up. Because eventually, right, you build that current, but it can't sustain. It has to balance. That causes revolution. That's part of what's about to happen in America. See, I tell you, America can be torn apart because everything's about to be resolved. Anything this capitalism is all these people getting greed, take all this money and all this wealth and they're putting and accumulate in one place and amongst few people, and then a lot of people homeless don't have anything. That creates more and more tension, right? Because tension pulls things apart, pull things, straighten things back out, levels things back out, make things normal. This is what happens. See, everything has to come back to balance. That's what caused revolution. That caused the French Revolution. All the wealth was in a few people's hands. They say no, a revolution occurred, right? Everything was balanced out. They took and they cut all the nobles' heads off. Everything balanced everything out. And you see right in the world right now, a lot of wealth is massed in a few people's hands. That's another thing you see what's about to happen. I'm saying once you understand the wisdom, you can see things happening. You might not be able to understand it in the sense of exactly what time, because unless you're really good with this, you can't say exactly what time something happened. That's why you need the angel, because the angel actually gives you the time, because they did this, they did the homework 16,000 years ago, right? So that's why purpose is to give you the time. Because if you got the wisdom, then you already understand because they're already telling you there, but they're telling you that you get extra time. See? So we know a revolution is coming because too much wealth is in few hands, and a lot of people don't have anything. So you know it's going to cause a revolution. So he said, what point will it happen? That's a threshold point. What point will it become so great that those don't have it is going to say, I'm going to take it. So that's what we see right now. See, people say, no, we got to take it. We got to tax the rich. See, he's talking like that, but it gets worse because the rich going to fight back because they want to hold it. Because they ain't got sense enough to let it go. That's what the cop means, right? You give those who have more, give those who have less. So you don't have that currency, so you don't have that situation. So just to point out some things, brothers and sisters. Okay, now another concept, and then we're going to pretty much wrap this up. Now remember I said in the beginning, the pressure inside has equal to the pressure on the outside. At that point, everything balances. Right now, your body's under intense pressure. If you don't believe it, you take a can, right, and you get find some kind of way to suck all that pressure inside out of it. I don't care how big, how strong that can is. I don't care how much steel is made out of. It's going to crush, collapse. Because that's how much pressure we're under. Only thing is, our pressure inside is equal to the pressure outside, so we don't feel it. Because our heart is able to generate enough pressure inside. Our heart is able to, because it's a pump. Remember, blood pressure, all that kind of stuff, is able to produce enough pressure on the inside to offset the pressure on the outside. Because when it's not, you start getting a state of depression, heart attacks, all that kind of stuff. Because when your heart is not able to produce enough pressure on the outside and the inside, then that's start depression, all that kind of things. See, heart starts fibrillating and weak and vibrant. So that's why you have a firm heart. Make your heart firm, so now it's producing firm pressure, so the pressure inside is equal to the pressure outside, and then bam, if the pressure inside is greater than the pressure outside, then you start expanding. Then you become elated. You don't feel any pressure at all. You're happy, you're joyful. So you make your heart more firm, and you get your heart produce more pressure on the inside. Then you come expand, because now you're greater than the pressure outside, so you expand instead of contracting. But it's less, you start contracting. So the pressure, then you got to take drugs and everything, you'll try to offset it, but you're not offsetting because you take drugs. It doesn't stop the situation. It just makes you numb to it. So you're still being crushed. Because when you're in depressed, you're being crushed. So they give you drugs. So you're still being crushed. You just don't feel it. You don't know. Like when you're operating you, when they take you, start cutting on you, you just don't feel it, but you're still being cut. You just don't feel it. I mean, they could take and put you in a buzzsaw and cut you all pieces. You wouldn't feel a thing if they get enough, right? You wouldn't feel a thing. But you still would cut the pieces. So you're being crushed. So this world's being crushed. America's being crushed. Europeans being crushed because now they cannot withstand the pressure, right? The pressure too great now because their 6,000 year period is over. That's why Adam only has 6 days, 6,000 years. So the only option they have right now is to get rid of what's putting pressure on them. Because no, all this, they've been putting pressure on all the nations. Now all the nations come against them now, closing in on them. The pressure is building. So the only thing they can do is go to war and wipe out everybody, right? And wipe out this biological, because they're at war with the biological. They're at war with everything. They're at war with the environment. They're at war with us personally, with all the nations. They're at war with everything. They got this plague they're dealing with. They got the economics they're dealing with. They've been told they're under total economic pressure, right? They're in total debt, right? Now they got these plagues to deal with. They got the animosity of all the nations they've been screwing with, right? And they got Suleiman in the middle point, turning light on them, who they really are, right? And getting ready to snatch out their foundation. False Israel out there was the whole foundation, this mess. So right now, they collapse any second. Because when you put pressure on something, you put pressure on an egg, you might see pressure, you don't see anything, but suddenly, once it reaches that threshold, just like boiling water. You can watch it, and it just sits there, and then eventually, suddenly, boom, it starts expanding because it reaches its pressure, its threshold. Everybody has a threshold. So what is their threshold? It tells us their threshold is about to be met because they only had 6,000 years. So at this point, the pressure is too great because it says this every 50 years. Remember I said the pressure increased every 50 years? It says they will not be able to stand this one that's happening right now. Because every 50 years, right? 1865 to around 1910 to 1965, that's 50, that's 100 years, right? And now we're where we are now, 50 years later, right? See, where we are now, 2021, you see? So now it's time for the next 50 years. You understand? That's 50 years from what, 65? Add 50 to that, what's that? 35 plus 15. See, so in that period right now, we're in that period right now. So now we can receive this energy wave, right? And this one's will return our land back to us, our mind back to us, and that result our identity. And it says at that point we will be transformed. But it says at the same time we transform, they will be transformed too. We'll be transformed to diamonds, they'll be transformed to dust, because the pressure that lifts us up is the same pressure that crushes them. Hope you understand that. So you need to understand pressure. I told you the 3 basic things. Remember, temperature, how fast they're moving, collisions, how much there is it. So, and then I show you how they work. So you need to study that, and then that's the wisdom. And then you can start looking around and start understanding how your environment works, how your creation works, the creation process. See? Didn't have enough pressure inside to offset the pressure inside, so now it's being crushed. Being crushed. To the extent that it doesn't have enough pressure, to the pressure, because as it crushed, the pressure builds up inside, and it keeps it, but if it's not enough, then it just crush out existence. Okay. So we're in a race right now. We're in a race. See on the left here, again, that's where we are pretty much right now. Because this is on the road to them achieving what you see on the bottom left, bottom right there. They're trying to achieve a mechanical world with no biological. That's the only way they can survive. They got to get rid of us, knock the 8 ball off. Because they can't survive this biological, they're at war with it. Whole unit, or everything, all our biological creations are at war with them. They got to get rid of it and come up with this mechanical, electronic world. See, we're on top there, right? We're getting rid of all of that and bringing in, because you read the Quran, it does talk about All this stuff here, Crown talking about on couches raised high, and rivers where land where rivers flow, right? And land of milk and honey, right? And gardens as wide as the heaven and earth. See, that's our creation. We have mechanical things. We can travel all over the place, right? Go travel the universe at speed of thought, 24 billion miles per second, even faster. But the thing is that that's for that. But for we don't live in places like this, cities like this, because we have plants. We got trillions of plants. We can all occupy, and they all have beautiful gardens. Beautiful gardens. We don't need that. But that's their creation, because that's the way analytical mind thinks on the way to achieving what they're trying to achieve right there. That cyborg man, that mechanical cyborg, which is a mechanical body with a biological brain. That's how he tends to survive, which doesn't is immune to the biological system, immune to disease, immune to viruses. Metal, it just has to protect the brain, right? Metal doesn't succumb to viruses and things like that. See, you don't have to worry about cold, wind, and all that kind of stuff. Because electronics, they can perceive anything they want to perceive. They got electronic gains, right? They put that right. They can put these implants in their brain, and they could actually feel like they're in a game, they're in a paradise or whatever. Time distortion, like I'm not going to talk about that, but that's where they race to. And they hope you stay stupid enough, but they can get to it for we could, because we both racing. We racing. We racing. I'm racing. For us racing to bring in our biological, restore it, restore our people, and they're racing to get rid of it, so they can bring in them. Only one vision will work. Only one vision will survive, and they're racing. While you sitting around, because they give you distractions. Oh, watch them, and see, because you helping them get that, which is your destruction. See, we got us working for them and everything else, helping them, because they need our creativity to get there. I'm not saying stop working on your job. You need jobs to support you, but you understand what you're doing. Because you need us to help them, you see, to achieve that. Angel warriors. I'm going to wrap this up. Now, one thing I said I've been talking about is that we don't understand the story of Joseph. So you need to really understand that story in a proper context. See, Joseph was betrayed by his brothers Ishmael, bottom line, right? Into Egypt. Now, Egypt, if you read the story of Joseph, Egypt was suffering from potential economic collapse. His whole economic system and everything, his agricultural system, everything was collapsing because they didn't know how to manage it. He didn't know how to manage it. He saw in the dream, but he didn't know how to manage it. He didn't know how to manage it, didn't know what to do. Because that's how they came from Europe with that nonsense. They came from Europe. They had already tore Europe apart. Europe was already a basket case, right? They turned into a shit farm over there, right? That's why they was fleeing from. They were starving. There was disease and everything else. They were fleeing from the because they don't know. They're at war with this ecology. They're at war with this environment. They're at war with our system because they don't understand it because it's a spatial system, but they're analytical. So they just I mean, Ireland was a basket case. There was a famine there, right? They were starving. They had learned everything, but they had abused because they don't know how to use it. They didn't know how to deal with it. So they came here. When they discovered America, they come over here, right? And they was about to do the same thing over here because they didn't know what hey, a thief, he just go and he don't make anything, he just go and steal from everybody else. He don't know how to make anything, he don't know how to produce anything, so they steal from anybody else. So they go just steal there. They was gonna do the same thing over here. They was gonna ruin this place too. And then that's why Joseph came and told them no, because they didn't know what to do. So he said no. He told them how to farm, agriculture, how to do all the stuff they didn't know how to do. Everybody else knew how to do it. They didn't know how to do it. That's what Joseph had to show them. Read the story. He had to show them how to manage it. That's the bottom line. So he was rewarded with what? To manage the environment. He was put in control of the environment. They didn't know how to do it. All this princes and everything else didn't know what to do. Only Joseph knew how to do it. That was us. That's the 64 years that was over here. Remember, because he was in a prison. Joseph was in a prison when he told him to do all this stuff. So that's 64 years. You got to understand. You got to connect this with Elijah Muhammad's teachings. And then what was the idea? So he was putting. Then what happened? And then they brought his children, right? And his children, that was their task to serve Pharaoh for the next 400 years, right? Turning his shit farms, right, into gold mines because they was to keep what Joseph was doing. They manage their economy and everything, to keep it going because all they know how to do it. They was kept turning the shit like they had done in Europe, where they escaped from. And that's what we was doing. We was taking and keeping his economy going for him, keeping wrecking it. That's the real story of Joseph. You see, that's why they didn't want us to don't be. If we were taken away, they would go back to having ship farms again, because we create diamond mines. That's what Islam does. It converts ship farms into diamond mines, to gold mines, and that's why they didn't want us to leave, because we was doing that for them. We just source their wealth. Keep telling you, we just source their wealth in every kind of way you can imagine. So now we bought. Now that's why it says, "Will the prey be snatched away from the mighty?" We're the prey. You have to understand that. That's the real story of what Joseph's all about. See? Because they don't know how to deal with this environment. They don't know how to deal with it. Because if we created it, they don't understand that we gave it for them, and they're analytical. They don't know how to do that. That's why they're messing it all up. They say, look what they're doing. Global warming and everything, their factories, they're polluting the whole planet and everything else. They're about to turn the whole planet into a shit farm like they did to Europe. So they parasites. They was taking everybody else because they don't know how to do it. That's what parasites do. They can't build anything, so they go suck everybody else's blood because they can't produce anything themselves. You have to understand that, brothers and sisters. And these demons, that's their purpose, to make you stay here and keep doing that. They entertain you, whatever it needs, tell you, talk to you, marry you, whatever it needs to keep you over here, turning shit farms into diamond mines for them. Because alchemy is like turning lead into diamonds, or turning lead into gold. That's what alchemy. So we're the alchemists, because we turn shit. See, we give form to formlessness. That's what we did. We took the universe, formless energy, and gave it form. So we do that. That's our nature. They don't tell you that. That's why they kept that movie Hidden Figures hidden so long. And you have no extent of it, bro, says how much like our creative using, how much they're using us. You have no idea. See? So the only option they have is either get rid of us, because they can't let us go. They said if they let them go, man, they might turn on us and then escape the country. Why would they say something like that? If they was afraid of us, right? When they want us to escape the country, they said, no, we need to deal with them because they didn't want to escape the country. So what does that mean? They said, because a war might occur and they might side with the enemy and then escape and leave the country. Wouldn't they be glad for us to leave the hell out of here? Think about that, brothers and sisters. Okay, but angel warriors, you got everything you need, brothers. That's why you got to have the wisdom. You got the wisdom, you got the book, right? See? Because the wisdom is based on the 5 pillars of Islam, but I gave you the pressure, gave the essence of it. And you got the angel. And you got your guides. And you got your God on the scene. What else do you need? You see your God every day. They tell you he's out there working. And we know who he is, or he's not. He's on the case. So what you need, brothers and sisters? Everything you need. 5 pillars of Islam. You got the wisdom. You got the book. Unsealed Bible. What you need, brothers and sisters? You got more than any prophet or messenger ever had. You got more than Elijah Muhammad had. And you're going to need it. Because he was going up against the worst beast ever, America. We're going up against America and the whole world. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay, that's it. That's it, brothers. We're going to wrap it up. That's it. Going to wrap it up here. Okay, let's see. Assalamu alaikum.